Hikaru
This is the
vs
first ever time
13
that
years
Pragg is playing
Praggnanandha.
over the board against Hikaru. Knight comes out to f3, d5, g3. We have the reti opening, but Pragg converts it into the English by putting his pawn on c4 and challenging Nakamura's center. You can see Hikaru taking a bit of a thought there. He may want to push the pawn, or he could take there. He pushes the pawn. Ambitious play there by Hikaru. Now he has more space in the position. Pragg goes b4. Whoa, what a move that was. His main idea is to stop c5 so that the pawn can be solidly supported in the center. Bishop comes out, and Hikaru now has a chance to push the pawn and open his bishop to the rook. He does it. He does it. What an interesting move. Pragg gets off his suit there. He's like, I know what to do here. Takes on e2. Queen takes. This is fine position for white here, because look at the development that white has. And now Pragg can push the pawn forward. He has 4 minutes 50 seconds. So does Hikaru Nakamura. Hikaru has played very risky chess here for sure, and he is going to be punished for it. Perhaps if Pragg can push his pawn forward, that would be the best move. Pragg taking his time, because he knows that Hikaru is a very dangerous opponent. He pushes, knight comes to b4, threatening knight c2 check. But the best move now is to push d4. Pragg plays the second best move. He castles it out. And he tells Hikaru, what is your knight doing here? Because after a3, it can very well get trapped. Hikaru has to be very careful. He goes bishop f5 now. The plan is to put the bishop here. Look at this variation. If Pragg finds it, d4, bishop comes here, queen b2. Once you take, I take back with the bishop, and the knight is trapped. Next move a3. Can Pragg find this d4 move? Not at all easy, but yes, knight e5 is also another possible move to stop the pieces from coming to d3. Pragg is taking his time. He has 4 minutes 5 seconds, and he must take his time, because clearly d4 is very strong. There's also another move, knight e1, which controls both these squares that the black pieces are attacking at, and maybe that is also a good way to go. You can see that Pragg is ready with his move, but he's just making sure that everything is fine. d4 is what could just end the game here. 3 minutes 30 seconds for Pragg, 4 minutes 43 for Hikaru. You can see him laying back in his chair. Pragg goes knight e5. Not the best move it was by Pragg, but still he's doing quite okay. Now Hikaru can actually play his knight to d3, because if Pragg takes it, the bishop comes in and skewers the queen and the rook. So what is Pragg's idea there? What has he thought about it? Look at this, knight to d3. If you take here, bishop d3, and you are in some trouble there. You can see Hikaru calculating, trying to understand what is Pragg's idea. Why has he played it this way? And Hikaru goes in. He puts his knight, and now Pragg could come back with his knight there in order to save himself. But that's not why he would have played his knight to e5. Clearly, he has something up his sleeve. What is it? What is it that Pragg wants to play? Oh, look at this idea. The bishop is defending the knight, isn't it? Can I push it away with g4? But that would not be good, because knight can come to f4, and in fact a very strong move is also to pick up the bishop. So actually g4 would be not at all a good move. The best move here, oh, he plays it. He plays g4. What a move by Pragg. And now look, Hikaru, if he takes on e5 here, then this is a better position for white, because b7 is hanging, and of course black king still in the center. So g4 is very strong, but look at the best move. You take here, and after he takes here, black has a very powerful solution, and that is to bring his queen in. And why is this so strong? Because your queen is going to switch on to f4 and then attack this. Hikaru finds it. He takes here. Pragg takes on f5, and he finds this next move as well. Hikaru is a monster in the position. Now this is all over for Pragg. From a clearly better position, he has landed into a close to lost position. If the queen comes here, and attacks h2. What is Pragg going to do? Pragg now trying to figure out how to extricate himself from the mess that he has created. One idea is to take on b7 and attack the rook. But then queen f4. How do you stop here? f3 and rook comes here. No, what did he play? He played bishop to a3. He put his bishop here, but what is his idea to queen f4? Threatening mate in 1. There's no way to stop losing the h2 pawn, isn't it? You can see Hikaru is visibly surprised. He plays his queen to f4. Pragg says, take my pawn. Hikaru chops it and now takes the bishop. Whoa! What just happened there? Check. Knight takes, king takes, and now the smoke has cleared. Let's take stock. Hikaru has 7 pawns. Pragg has 6 pawns. But clearly the position is terrible for Praggnanandha. He takes here, pawn takes, and now the h pawn is a passer here. The knight can come out. He can even win another pawn by taking this. You know, take this, and what is white's counterplay? Where is it? Maybe with c5, c6, that could be an idea. So Hikaru has to make a choice between taking another pawn, being greedy, or finishing his development by bringing his knight. Both are good moves. He has 2 minutes 53 seconds against Pragg's 2 minutes 39. Everything is flowing in Hikaru's favor, and very likely that he's going to beat Praggnanandha in their first ever encounter. He's playing with the pawn there. What should be his next move? Praggnanandha, meanwhile, still concentrated, but he knows deep within that his position is close to lost. I like how Hikaru, after the entire transformation that has happened, is taking his time. He knows deep within that he's totally winning, and the only thing that can lead to a disaster here is impatience. So knight comes out. Good move, developing, and if you get a chance, you may want to castle and connect your rooks. How does Pragg continue? What is his way of gaining even a bit of counterplay? Because if you take here, then I can take back and the rook will come in. He goes rook to d3, and maybe his plan is to double here, but anyway there are no entry points, and this time Hikaru can seriously take this pawn. It's a free, nice, juicy pawn. If you go to rook e3 to attack this pawn with your bishop and rook, I can simply push it forward and everything is safe. So maybe taking this pawn is the best idea, but Hikaru is a bit unsure. He's trying to be very precise, and he castles. Whoa! His plan is, if you take here, he wants to pin this, and if you try to break the pin, then the knight jumps in, and if you try to attack the knight, then takes here, and this is what he wants to do. So clearly the e7 pawn cannot be taken. It's a poison pawn. But Pragg now is back in the game in some way. The last move dropped a lot of advantage because Hikaru clearly could have taken the pawn. Pragg knows that this is his chance perhaps to find something, but what does he do? He definitely doesn't want to take here. It improves black structure, and so he goes king f3. Rook f e8. He saves the pawn, which is actually a good idea. Now the bishop can no longer take the pawn, but Pragg can put more pressure by bringing his other rook. Suddenly you can see that white pieces at least coordinate with each other, which is good news for Praggnanandha. He brings his rook and attacks the pawn. He drops the bishop, looks at Hikaru, e6 played. The good news for Pragg is that on time he's doing quite well. He has as much time as Hikaru has. F takes e6, taken. He takes back. Black is still a solid pawn up, so he's better, but no longer completely winning. And now the bishop comes here. Maybe what he wants to do is put his bishop either on f4 or g5. That is his plan. Pawn push to e5. King goes back. And Hikaru wants to move his rook. What is it that he wants to play? Does he want to move his rook up the board, which is actually a good idea? Rook e6. He plays it. He plays his rook to e6. And maybe if at some point you can get this a6 break, that would be epic, because then the rook gets activated. Pragg goes bishop here and he's attacking the knight. The other rook jumps into e8, and if you go in later after exchanging the knight, this rook's can stop you from causing any damage. Rook e3 played by Pragg. Knight comes to d7. Hikaru wants to play his knight to c5 or b6, attacking these weak queenside pawns. That is his idea. Pragg now down to 1 minute 14 seconds. Where is his counterplay? While Hikaru is slowly and steadily improving his position. He can go king g7, h6, push the bishop back. These are all the ideas that he has. Pragg definitely under pressure and has to come up with something. But he's good at it. He doesn't give up, keeps fighting on, and that's what he has to do in this position. Don't give up. Don't get under too much time pressure, because against Hikaru, if you have little time, that is a recipe for disaster. He's too quick. He goes rook d1. He attacks the knight on d7. Hikaru can now place his knight on c5, but a good move, rook d6. Went ahead in material exchange. Rook d3. He plays his rook again here. Bishop comes back, and now b6 played. This is clearly advantage for Hikaru. Can move his knight. Excellent move, forcing Pragg to trade something. You can see Pragg there stopping in his tracks. Goes back. One idea that Pragg could have is to push his queenside pawns. Knight jumps in. Now he's really forcing Pragg to take, because the c3 pawn is also hanging. So Pragg takes here. I think taking with the rook and exchanging even more pieces makes complete sense. He takes it. Now Pragg really doesn't want to take, because if he takes, pawn takes, or even knight takes would be very, very strong, and then it's completely lost. So rook b1 played, and now can you take this pawn? Well, Hikaru says, I'm going to take it with my rook. Once again, he's back in control. Pragg goes rook b4. Interesting chess. He wants to go rook a4 and attack here. Very resourceful. The youngster is very resourceful. He's not giving up. And as we know, Hikaru in this game does not want to give any counterplay to Pragg, and he's being very careful about it. What should he do? He can take here. Yes, he takes. Rook goes to a4. And now he goes to d6. Attacking here. Takes. Rook takes c4. Defending his pawn. And Pragg is actually creating some play on the queen side. The knight jumps to f5. Hitting the bishop. That's a good move. Because if you push your pawn, knight will take the bishop there. So he goes bishop d2, saves his bishop, fighting on. Pragg is fighting. And you can see Hikaru is not very happy with Pragg's resistance. He has to find a way to now continue. One plan is to go knight d4 and maybe place your knight perhaps on b3 to stop all counterplay. No, e4 is a massive blunder, because he's given up the f4 square. And now this is attacked. Will Pragg spot it? Yes, he does. And Hikaru shaking his head. Suddenly the position has become terrible for Hikaru. The pawns are very weak. With Hikaru, he does not sort of hide his expressions. He's so unhappy. Now Pragg can take with this bishop, attack this pawn. Suddenly he has two powerful passers. Oh my god. Now a5. Pragg, don't worry about e3 stuff, because your pawn will queen here. No, Pragg worries. And you know, he had a winning chance to push his pawn. King f1. Hikaru pushes his pawn forward. Pawn takes. You can see Pragg getting really excited there. Hikaru also playing very quickly. But now the position is equal. Pragg is back in the game. He brings his king in. Rook attacks the bishop. Bishop drops back. It's not so easy to play against Pragg in such positions. He's good at it. He's not going to fall for any knight forks. Rook comes to d7, attacking the knight. Knight jumps to f4. Yes, he plays it. And now both pawns are attacked here. b6 and g6. Hikaru chops off a pawn. Pragg also takes one more pawn. Whoa, what a comeback by Praggnanandha. King e8. And now the knight is defending this pawn. So Pragg attacks the knight as well. Hikaru is shaking his head. The position no longer better for him. But he's trying everything to ensure that he has some chances. He's playing for tricks. But Pragg is going to be fine. Now the bishop is attacked. Can you simply go up defend the bishop and also attack the knight. He goes to g7 and Pragg says, I'm attacking this pawn. My rook is attacking this pawn. Takes, pawn push. Rook moves back. Ooh, the b pawn is going ahead. King f7. Check. King up. Rook moves back and Pragg is now completely fine. The b pawn is very strong and next move he can simply chop off this pawn. Hikaru goes back behind the b pawn. Pragg takes it. Takes on b7. He brings his bishop back and offers a draw. Hikaru does not even respond. He just makes his move. He's so unhappy with his position. But Pragg is very calm. You know, he's simply moving his bishop, rook back and fro there. Attacks the knight. Rook defends the knight. This is, of course, a dead draw. But Hikaru just wants to play on because, you know, it's out of inertia that he's playing his next moves. He doesn't want to continue. He plays rook c6. King comes up, knight c7.
Subscribe for more video.